talking about insulin because it just fun to talk about. We're talking about it right now because it is in the endocrine system. Okay, so there's two types of diabetes. Of course, there's type one, type two. They used to call type one juvenile diabetes. Then they call type two, they call adult diabetes. Okay, right? They don't do that anymore. Why do they not do that anymore? What's that, Matthew? They're definitely two different things. Kids are getting both, right? Used to be that kids never got type 2 diabetes. Why are they getting diabetes? So I kind of joke around with the betas, the sugar. Yeah, it's all about what we're eating, right? Okay, so look, there's all kinds of, and we're going to talk about diet a lot when we do the digestives. Okay, but there is a lot of different diets out there. There's the right now the keto diet. There's the paleo diet. There's like I drink those drinks every day, the LaCroix, and on the box it says the Whole 30. Okay, Sarber was on this for a while. The Whole 30. I like to talk to Sarber about this stuff because he's like, he's like run, like it's good, it's funny. You runners out there, you're talking about this stuff, and although it sounds like I'm joking, I ain't joking, right? Okay, he's like hardcore about this stuff. Okay, so what is it about these diets? Who's right? Who's wrong? Why can't we all agree on one thing? Man, it's because we're all individuals, right? Okay, so a few years ago, I taught a class, AP Environmental Science class, and I did a joint class with Bob Gilbert. Some of you know Bob because of Peggy at Timbercrest. Who's my Timbercrest people out there? Any Timbercrest people out there? Yeah. So Bob, Peggy, unfortunately, she taught here, had a brain aneurysm. Now she's confined to a chair. She's slowly starting to become more of herself, but like for a long time, couldn't talk or anything. Peggy's wonderful. Anyway, Bob was in Radosevich's room. Before Radosevich was Brandewee. Before Brandewee, there was Everett. Before Everett, there was Screeton. Before Screeton, there was Bob. Okay, that's how far back we go. So there was this book that came out. It was called Fast Food Nation by Eric Schloss. And this book was like #1 New York Times bestseller list. Let me give you the spoiler of the book. Fast food's bad for you, right? But it's a fascinating book. Okay, I mean it's bad for you, but it's also delicious. Like a McDonald's Big Mac. I mean, like, look, I'm a vegetarian now, but like when I was eating like food, I remember as a kid, like eating McDonald's was like what you wanted to eat, right? It wasn't like eating, like those hamburgers are good, and it doesn't matter where you go. I'm gonna eat a McDonald's Big Mac here in North Manchester, and it's gonna taste the same as if I eat a Big Mac in downtown LA. Okay, they've mastered the food production stuff, right? So it's delicious food, but why is it so bad for you? So we read this book together as a class, and then we would meet on Fridays and we would talk about the book. And it was really fun from a sociological perspective and then from an environmental perspective. Well, then this dude, Morgan Spurlock, came out with this movie, and everyone's told me so far today that they watched it in either Ambrose's class or Clement's class, and that was called Super Size Me. Here's the deal. So this guy, Morgan Spurlock, decided for a month he would eat only McDonald's. And when he would go to McDonald's, this is back in the day where you could supersize stuff. You can't do this anymore. So they said, would you like to supersize? He would always supersize. Okay, because of the movie, they took that away. Okay, like McDonald's was not happy about this movie. Okay, right? But it changed the shape of like our food system, our fast food system. So, anyways, Morgan Spurlock did this, and like he got depressed. His like cholesterol went up. His blood pressure went up. He couldn't get his dick up. I mean, like literally, like this guy was like completely bummed out. Okay, like in the end of the movie, and then he like was like, yeah, I'm like not eating fast food. I'm so much healthier and happier. Okay. Well, then soon afterwards, then people started like, oh my gosh, like what about the fast food? Started talking more and more about diet. He was on every single talk show. Then this other guy, and I'm going to show you some clips from his movie, decided like, I want to do the same thing. Okay, he did not get the same results. And he took a little different approach. And so he's like, is everybody going to have the same reaction? Okay, his movie's called Fathead. No one's ever heard of it. We're going to watch 2 clips and we're going to talk about it. Now, look, the animations are kind of weird, okay, and it's kind of cheesy. And also, one of the doctors looks like he could be an adult film star. Okay, but just stick with me because the information is really good. You'll see, as you see this guy, you're like, oh yeah, that guy. Okay, here we go.
All heard about weight control goes like this. If you eat more calories than you burn, the extra calories turn to fat. But if you just consume fewer calories or burn more calories by exercising, you create a calorie deficit and you automatically lose weight. It's a nice, simple story, and it's a load of baloney.
But it's more complicated than that, because it's also important what your body decides to do with the calories that you eat.
In his groundbreaking book, Good Calories, Bad Calories, science writer Gary Taubes explains that people who try to starve themselves thin almost never lose as much weight as this equation says they should. And in studies where naturally thin people ate an extra 1,000 calories per day for several months, they barely gained any weight at all. After examining decades of research that obesity experts seem to have completely ignored, Taubes concluded that your body's tendency to store fat is determined by hormones, most importantly, insulin.
All other things being equal, if you consume the same number of calories, the higher your insulin is, the larger proportion of those calories you will divert towards stored body fat.
If insulin is up and you're not eating very much, or you're eating even the wrong kinds of foods, the kind of foods that keep insulin up, insulin holds the fat in the fat cell and doesn't let it out.
What raises insulin, independent of any other metabolic hormones, what raises insulin is carbohydrate, starch and sugar, pure and simple.
Most of us think we only put fat in our fat cells when we eat too much. But as Gary Taubes explains in Good Calories, Bad Calories, your fat cells are like rechargeable fuel cells. Every time you eat, you store some fat. In between meals, fat comes out of your fat cells to provide the fuel for your muscles and organs. If you're naturally thin, it's because you have efficient fat cells. Fat goes in quickly and it comes out easily. Your body doesn't need much fat because the little bit of fat you do have is a reliable source of fuel. If you're predisposed to be fat, it's because you have greedy fat cells. When you eat, you tend to store calories as fat instead of burning them. And when your other tissues need those calories, the fat comes out slowly if it comes out at all. What are they doing? Did one of you guys forget to pay the food bill? Are you going to eat all that?
The end user of food that we eat are our individual cells. And it doesn't matter if it goes in our mouth. If it doesn't get to those cells, we starve. We starve at the cellular level.
And so you do exactly what your body is telling you to do.
Come on, eat something. Steak, will ya?
You eat more. In other words, you're not getting fat because you're eating more. You're eating more because you're getting fat. Most of us weren't born with greedy fat cells, but we can certainly make them that way. When you eat too many carbohydrates, you raise your blood sugar. Since high blood sugar is toxic, your body releases insulin to bring it down. But your body can only burn a little bit of sugar at a time. So what happens to the rest of it?
Your storage sites for carbohydrate are limited, and we've got unlimited storage places for fat. So the body ends up just converting the carbohydrate to fat.
And after bringing down your blood sugar, insulin does its other job. It tells your body to store fat. When you have a healthy metabolism, it only takes a little bit of insulin to bring your blood sugar down, and then everything goes back to normal. But over time, that can change.
The cells can become resistant to the effects of insulin. In essence, when that happens, insulin's talking, but the cells just aren't listening. And so they don't get the message from insulin, so they don't do what they're supposed to do.
Hello? Stop hitting me. I'm not hitting you. Stop hitting me. I'm not hitting you.
And so your body does what it has to do. It starts producing more insulin.
You finally reach the point to where your insulin's high just to keep your sugar normal, even if you're not eating any sugar. And then when that happens, then it's starting to drive stuff into the fat cell, and you reach this point where all of a sudden, bam, you get fat.
I like that guy. bam, you get fat, right? So, man, that was an eye opener for me because I didn't think about it in that way. Okay, most people think about insulin only associating that with the pancreas. Okay, but it's targeting the liver, okay, adipose tissue, the muscle, and then the satiation center. Okay, to be satiated, that means like, okay, I've gotten all the food I need, I'm full. Okay, sometimes we beyond the point of us being full, right? Keep going, then we get a food coma, that sort of thing. Okay, but what happens? Okay, we've got to have glucose to open doors. Okay, but if we have too much glucose, that's bad for our blood. If we don't have enough, that's also blood. That's also bad. Okay, so what do we do if we have too much? Okay, we're going to convert it into fat, or maybe we might even store it as glycogen. Okay, now here's this whole ketone thing. Okay, low levels of insulin promote the formation of ketone bodies by the liver. So let's talk about the liver for a second. Okay, and this hormone glucagon. All right, so I had a student a few years ago. And he did this in college, not in high school. Okay, so I highly recommend don't do this right now. But he got really interested in like health, but also it's kind of like one of the Sarber guys, it's like, I want to kind of play around with stuff. He wanted to see if he could get his body into ketogenesis. Okay, so like, anybody hear the keto diet? Okay, so you got to eat certain food also, but does anybody know what one of the main factors is with the keto diet? Huh? Okay, it's not. It's a little bit about what you eat. There's certain things you can't have a lot of carbs. You can't have a lot of carbs, but there's something else that's really, really important with the keto diet. Nice, you gotta drink some water for sure.
Isn't keto no protein?
Yeah, you can do some protein. Yeah, It's all about fasting, right? Okay, for longer periods of time. So this dude wanted to see if he could get his liver, okay, to produce that glucose for him to survive. So he went on a fast for 7 days. Okay, you got to drink water during those times. He said, like the first few days were like horrible. Like I think he was going to kill somebody. Okay, then he said, then it gets into this weird rhythm where it got almost kind of euphoric at the end. Okay, but he was able to survive, and he was able to live off the sugar from his liver. Okay, so this liver was was using this hormone to break down glycogen that was stored there, okay, from previously put, like we're going to store it in fats, right? But we're also going to store it in the liver. You got food storage there, not a lot. Most of it's going to go fats, right? We got a little bit in the liver, okay? And then we can release that glucose in the blood. Now, why on earth would we as a human species need a storage spot that's going to keep like glucose for a long period of time and then release it when we need it? Why would we do this? Survival, yeah, for sure. Yeah, but why? Like, we got lots of food, right? We got fat, right? Yeah.
Maybe like an evolutionary trait would be acquired through like hibernation, I suppose, like other species.
Not so much the hibernation point, but you were definitely right on the we like on the evolutionary point. Okay? We've been around for species for a while, okay? But have we always lived the lifestyle that we're living right now? How do we go before? How we roll? Okay, caveman. Okay, all right. And what else though? Hunter gatherers, right? How abundant was the food? Not very, right? Why do we have an abundance of food right now? We can mass produce it thanks to what? Agriculture. I blame farmers for all of our fat problem. Just kidding. Okay, I love my farmers out there. Right, but seriously, right? We can produce food, right? We also don't have to go and hunt for the food. Now, if you want to take this stuff next level stuff, and I haven't talked to Sarver. Sarver and I used to have the same lunch together, and we don't anymore, which bums me out. But I want to know if he's seen this movie called The Game Changers. Have you guys heard about this? If you want to go deep dive, now it's got a lot of inappropriate words, so I apologize about that. But you've seen it?
No, I think so. Is it about an athlete?
Yeah, man. All these athletes who are like not eating meat anymore because of what it does to your blood, lipid levels, all kinds of stuff. So ultimately, and this is you look at the research, they're looking at some of our ancient ancestors. Yes, there was like, oh yeah, where you would eat like saber-tooth tigers and all. Like, think about the availability of meat then as early humans, right? There's not a lot out there. And to hunt and kill some of that stuff, if we're going to survive, we're mostly going to eat what? Plants, right? We're plant eaters. I mean, ultimately, all of our food comes from the sun, right? Okay. If I'm eating meat, I'm eating plants because somebody said, like, how are you supposed to get, I love this. How are you supposed to be built like an ox? Okay. If you don't eat meat. And then the person in this interview said, well, what does the ox eat? It's a great point, right? The ox isn't eating other ox. The ox is eating grass, grain. Crazy stuff, right? Okay, so this is one of those long, I think it's like a little bit of a leftover from back in the day. Okay, but if you want to get into ketogenesis, man, it's really, you can get in a deep internet dive. You know, like when you like search for something and then 4 hours later, you're like, what just happened? Right? You know what I mean? Have you guys ever been there? Okay, ketogenesis will take you there. All right. So you got to manage your insulin levels, right? For the most part, all of you, your pancreas is doing a good job. Unfortunately, you want to talk about your pancreas at all? It's all about your beta cells, though, right? Your beta cells, like, how did they describe it to you when you were?
I don't even know. It was so overwhelming.
Yeah.
Like the point when I was like went to the hospital, like learned about it. I guess
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
So it was like I didn't even know what they were talking about.
So have you done some research on your own then?
Man.
You just
I
kind
guess
of like,
the most annoying thing is like people stereotyping that like diabetics are just fat. Like,
right,
it's not true.
right. No, but unfortunately, type 2 diabetes.
Type 2 is
Yeah,
different.
is a different story, right? Yeah. That's the problem, folks. Like, you know, and it's not always true. Like, not always true. Like, here's the other thing that, and this is another, I think, misconception. You guys get diabetes in here, not Cambry, okay, but if you get it, type 2, you can correct that. It's not for life. You have to start thinking about the choices now of what you're eating. You know,
Isn't it genetic too?
that'd be the type 1. Okay. Yeah. I don't know if there's a lot of, I'm sure there's some predisposition stuff, but
Yeah,
like,
that's why the hospital's concerned about me with everything going on. 'Cause
Yeah.
My dad has type 1.
oh, there you go. Yeah. Because now you're in your prime of like possibly, right? Well, yeah. What were you 15?
Yeah, I was just
How old are you? 16?
17.
17. Crazy. What's insulin do? Of course, insulin increases because your blood glucose levels go up, but also sometimes some gastrointestinal hormones go up. Okay, so we want to try and knock that sugar down, but if we can't do that, then we're going to end up sending it somewhere else. Glucagon, same kind of thing. Okay, we could talk about somatostatin later, but it inhibits insulin and glucagon secretion. Let's talk real quickly here for just a few minutes about the testes and the ovaries. Any questions about the pancreas? Any questions for Cambry? You want any questions? She was supposed to be leading this whole lecture today, but bailed on me. Just kidding. And like, I'm no expert on all this stuff either. So if I ever say anything, you're like,
No, neither am I.
am I okay now? Everything I've said, like that's, what do you think about that video? Isn't that interesting? Like that stuff blew me away when I first saw it. All right. So Greta, once again, is all fired up about the fact that people don't know where their ovaries are, okay, or what they do. Okay, so once again, everybody in here has ovary, or no, I mean everyone in here has estrogen. Hopefully not everybody has ovaries, but they all have gonads, okay, right? So those are the testes and the ovaries, okay? I don't know if this is maybe too personal, okay, but my boys, like the testicles don't drop necessarily right away, And like, and at one point I was like, oh my God, like my kid doesn't have any balls, but they just had dropped. Right? It's like, oh, thank God, there they are. Woo! Okay, the other day, Ira goes, we got a big argument because he goes, you pee from your balls. All your pee comes right from your balls. We're like, no, it doesn't. And he's like, well, why are they there then if they don't have the pee in them? We're like, well, later you're gonna find out about what else is in there. We try to be straight shooters and like, you know, like say like what it is. Okay, so guys, testosterone comes from the testes, okay, but they don't mature until puberty, right? Okay, so the testosterone doesn't start kicking in till like whenever puberty hits for you. Could be 12, could be 15, could be 16. Okay?
Could be 27.
Same with some girls. Like I had a student I'll never forget. Now I still talk to this person, but she came into class one time and she was ticked, and she's like, "Oh," I was like, "What's wrong?" She's a senior, and she goes, "I got my period." I was like, "Sorry." She goes, "No, my first period." She's like, "I've never had a period before, and I got my first period as a senior in high school, and I'm mad because I was like, I never wanted to get it." Right? Everybody's different, right? I know some of you are like, "Yeah, my first period was 12." Okay. So guys, you're not producing sperm right now. My boys, they're 8 and 6, not producing sperm. Of course, that's not happening. Of course, till puberty starts. Okay. Girls, you're a little bit different, right? Those estrogens and progesterone, okay, they also kick in, but much earlier. Remember the brain stuff, all that stuff is happening because the brain is sending the signal earlier, okay? And so therefore, you're going to get your sexual secondary characteristics like hair and breasts like later in life, okay? But this chart is one of my favorites, all right? So soon near the end of this, like May, sometime in May, like not the last week of school, hopefully not the last week of school, but we're going to do reproduction, okay? I like to end with a bang.
I love when you say that.
But I still like it. Give it to me, man. Okay. All right. One of the biggest questions we talk about is the menstrual cycle. Here's the deal. I feel like girls don't even know about their own periods. You know, it comes, it goes. I got to wear like tampon, pad, okay, something, right? The Diva cup. You got any Diva cups out there?
Those are so nasty. One of my friends do.
I know. I'm telling you, there's some, like, it's starting to pick up. There's more high school kids that are doing it. We'll talk about it. Okay, but did you know that it's not all about the estrogen? Look at this. Here's day 1 of your period. Yeah. I'll show you later.
Is there any shows how to use a Diva?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
If you want.
Not really, but okay. I'm kind of curious how you would present that.
Okay.
Are you gonna be like,
Now,
okay, so this is weird.
here's what we're going on. All right. All right, now look. Here's day 1 of your period. Okay? This is when the bleeding starts. Not like when you think you're going to start, when you're like, dang it. Okay? Y'all with me?
Nope,
Okay.
because I don't have them.
I don't either.
Okay. Day 28 is the end. Somebody's like, I don't have a 28-day cycle. Mine's more like 35. Some are like, mine's more like 22. Everyone's different. Okay? Some people in here, your periods are like, you know, like I will get it on the 3rd. Okay? And that's not even with birth control. You're just like that regular. Bless your heart, you're lucky. Some people are like, I don't know. It could be like in the next 8 days, right? And it may
You know
not
what?
even be then.
I never know.
Okay, right?
It's kind of
Okay,
scary
but look what
sometimes.
happens. Not only is estrogen a factor, notice this estrogen spikes about day 13, day 14, and then it drops. Okay, and then look at this. What takes over after that is progesterone. You have 2 incredibly powerful hormones. And I will tell you right now.
Which one makes me go crazy?
Progesterone.
Oh, I got a lot of that. Like too much.
Maybe a little estrogen, but progesterone will make you cuckoo crazy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is that what
Yeah.
you're emotional?
Oh yeah, man.
Oh yeah, I got a lot of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
One time I hit a bird.
What's that?
I don't get emotional. And I fell over, held it, I
Oh, yeah.
crazy and I don't get murmur. What is that?
That you're an alien.
I was telling you a story.
Hold on, I got too many people talking to me. That's just how you body guys. Yes.
I was telling you that one time I was on my period and I accidentally hit a bird and I killed it and I rolled over and I held it in my arms. This dead bird, dead bloody bird, and I was sobbing.
One time I
What kind of
hit a
bird is
bird.
Man,
Was
I
it?
don't know.
One time I hit a bird, but I couldn't hold it because it went all the way through my grill and up in the engine and everything. I hit it pretty fast.
This one time on my period.
I caught up and I
This one time at band camp. This one time on my, I killed a bird.
I killed a bird in my car. I was
It's
on
like my
second
favorite
class
story
ride.
today.
I hit a cat and I laughed.
How did you?
Why didn't you bring it to me? You know I like dead birds.
How?
I was sobbing and then I was broken.
Okay, but Abby, if you hit it that fast, how did you get it out of the grill of your car? Because mine, when I pulled it out, it was like. Actually, Addison, Trent pulled it out of my car with a pair of gloves and threw it in the river, and it was literally like that thing was gone. And I didn't think I hit it, and then I looked in my rearview mirror, and all I saw was feathers.
The first time I hit it, I hit like animals, like my car back and drive because I was crying so hard. And that wasn't even.
Real quick, before we stop, we'll talk about this a lot more, but I want to end with this today. Okay, there was a study done not too long ago, and they looked at like what women wear, okay, and how they present themselves from here to here and from here to here. Okay, right?
Are you talking about like sweatpants, being lazy? I wear that all the time.
Okay.
So if these people were watching me, they'd be like, damn, she never stops
So
bleeding.
typically, okay, especially around like day 10, okay, to day 14, okay, in the study, women would wear things a little more provocatively and a little bit more, also a little bit like nicer, okay? Why would that be?
Get a little, yeah.
You get
Why-
aroused then.
But why like from here to here and not here to here?
That's
Yeah.
your,
Yeah, right. Here is when the egg comes out. Okay, so this time to this time is the best time.
It's like my
for
mating
baby
call.
time, right? Yeah, it's
Oh boy. Not exactly. Not sure about
Look at me.
that.
I see your shoulders. But seriously though, makes sense though, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Some girls think you can get pregnant anytime. Some believe only during monthly.
It's
So,
that period,
okay, here's-
right? It's that
okay.
period of time, like right afterwards, and then like slightly, like